A ruthless police officer attacked a blind girl and her canine service dog. What happened next shocked everyone. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The morning sun spilled softly across the quiet neighborhood as the sound of tiny footsteps echoed down the sidewalk. 7-year-old Lily held tightly to the white cane in her left hand, while her right hand rested gently on the harness of her German shepherd, Rex. The golden light danced through the trees, brushing over the pair as they moved with perfect harmony, every step of hers guided by his confident stride. Lily had been blind since birth, but she never saw the world as dark. To her, it was a place filled with sound, scents, and warmth, and Rex was the one who helped her feel every part of it. He was more than her service dog. He was her guardian, her best friend, and her eyes when the world became too big to face alone. Every morning before school, Lily's father would watch from the porch as she and Rex walked to the small bakery at the corner. The owner, Mrs. Green, always greeted her with a cheerful voice. "Good morning, Lily? And good morning to my favorite customer, Rex," she'd say, tossing him a treat. The way Rex's tail wagged made everyone around smile. As they continued their walk, the rhythmic tap of Lily's cane mixed with the click of Rex's paws on the pavement. Birds chirped overhead. Cars hummed in the distance. It was a simple routine, but one that filled her world with comfort and safety. Neighbors often stopped to wave, though Lily couldn't see them. "Your dog's amazing," they'd say. She'd nod proudly. "He's my eyes," she'd reply, her face lighting up with a smile that could melt hearts. No one could have guessed that this peaceful morning walk, something so ordinary, would soon turn into a scene that would shake an entire city. For Lily and Rex, it was just another day filled with trust, love, and unspoken understanding. But fate had already set a different path for them, one that would test their bond and reveal just how deep a dog's loyalty could truly go. The morning rush had begun. Cars honked impatiently, engines revved, and the rhythmic beeping of crosswalk signals echoed through the bustling downtown streets. Lily held Rex's harness a little tighter as the sounds around her grew louder. She could feel the warmth of the sun fade as tall buildings swallowed the light, leaving the air cool and filled with motion. Rex walked with purpose, his ears twitching at every sound, his nose lifting to sense direction and danger. They reached the wide intersection, a place Lily had always found intimidating. Dozens of people hurried past, the hum of conversation blending with the screech of tires. "Easy, boy," she whispered. Rex stood at the curb, eyes fixed on the signal ahead. His tail flicked once, then stilled. The red hand flashed. They waited. When the signal finally chirped for pedestrians, Lily took her first cautious step. "Forward," she said softly. Rex obeyed, leading her confidently across the crosswalk. But halfway through, the calm shattered. Somewhere to the right, a man shouted. Tires screeched. A police siren blared nearby as several black and white cruisers raced toward the intersection, lights flashing blue and red like lightning. Rex stopped abruptly, pressing against Lily's leg. "Rex, what's wrong?" she asked, gripping his harness tighter. The sound of doors slamming filled the air, followed by heavy boots pounding the asphalt. "Stay back," someone yelled. The crowd's murmurs turned into anxious whispers. Rex barked once, twice, sharp, commanding barks that echoed off the glass buildings. He wasn't barking in panic. He was alert, focused, protective. But to the officers, it sounded like aggression. "Control your dog," one of them shouted. Lily's heart pounded. "He's not dangerous. Please, he's helping me cross," she cried, turning toward the voices. But no one listened. The officers fanned out, tension thick in the air. Rex stepped in front of Lily, his body rigid, his gaze locked on the approaching figures. The flashing lights reflected in his eyes as he let out another low growl. People began to pull out their phones, recording. Confusion swirled through the intersection like smoke, and in that single moment between misunderstanding and reaction, the fate of a blind girl and her loyal dog hung by a fragile thread. The air around the intersection grew heavier by the second. Rex stood firm in front of Lily, his tail low, his body trembling not from fear but from the intensity of his protective instinct. He could sense danger, smell adrenaline, hear the tension in every shouted word. To him, his job was clear: protect the girl at all costs. But to the officers rushing in, it looked entirely different. "Get that dog under control," one of them barked, raising his hand to signal the others. The sudden movement made Rex bark louder, his deep growl rumbling through the street. The officers mistook it as a threat, closing in cautiously. Lily, her voice breaking, shouted over the noise, "Please, he's my service dog. He's trained, he's just scared." Her small hands clung to his harness. She couldn't see the drawn taser, the fear in the officer's eyes, or the crowd slowly gathering behind police tape. All she felt was Rex's muscles tighten beneath her touch and the confusion spinning around her. "Ma'am, step away from the animal," an officer ordered firmly. But Lily shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "He's my eyes. Please, he's not dangerous." The commanding officer exchanged a glance with his partner. "She's not responding," he muttered. "We need to secure the dog before someone gets hurt." The other officer nodded reluctantly. None of them realized that the only danger came from their own misunderstanding. Rex's ears flattened as two officers approached from the sides. His instincts screamed danger. He barked again, stepping backward to shield Lily, pressing his body against her legs. She stumbled slightly, clutching his fur for balance. "Hold position," the lead officer ordered, but one rookie officer, nervous and panicked, took a step too close. Rex reacted instinctively. One sharp bark, one quick step forward. That was all it took. A taser cracked. The sharp sound split the air like lightning. Lily screamed, dropping her cane as the crowd gasped in horror. Rex collapsed beside her, his vest flashing K9 service dog in bold yellow letters. For a heartbeat, time froze. The officers stood stunned, the noise of the city fading into silence. Then came the sound that no one would ever forget. Lily's cry echoing through the street, raw and filled with heartbreak. For a few seconds, no one moved. The sharp echo of the taser still hung in the air like a terrible memory that refused to fade. Rex lay motionless on the scorching asphalt, his chest rising and falling in shallow, broken rhythms. His eyes blinked weakly, confused, trying to understand what had just happened. Lily dropped to her knees beside him, her trembling hands desperately searching for his face. "Rex, no, please, wake up," she sobbed. Her small fingers brushed against his fur, feeling the warmth slowly leaving his body. Around them, the city noise dimmed until all that remained was the sound of her voice. Fragile, breaking, and filled with pain no child should ever know. "Get back, kid," one of the officers shouted, stepping forward, but the crowd erupted in protest. "Leave her alone," someone yelled. Phones were raised high, recording every moment. In that instant, this was no longer just a misunderstanding. It had become a tragedy unfolding live before hundreds of horrified witnesses. Lily clutched Rex's vest, her tears falling onto his fur. "He didn't do anything wrong," she cried. "He was protecting me." Her voice cracked, echoing through the street, slicing through the tension like glass. The senior officer froze. His training, his authority, all seemed meaningless against the sight of the blind child crying over her fallen dog. "We need medical now," he ordered, his voice trembling. Two officers rushed forward, unsure whether to help the girl or the dog. Rex whimpered faintly, his paw twitching. Lily gasped, hope flashing across her tear-streaked face. "He's alive. Please, someone help him." But the chaos only grew. Police radios crackled, reporters arrived, and traffic piled up as strangers left their cars to witness the heartbreaking scene. A mother in the crowd covered her mouth, tears spilling down her cheeks. "He's her guide dog," she whispered. They attacked her service dog. The realization spread like wildfire. The same officers who had sworn to protect had just harmed a protector. As Rex's breathing slowed and sirens wailed in the distance, Lily wrapped her arms around him, whispering through sobs, "It's okay, Rex. I'm here. Don't leave me." And under the heavy silence of the city, a bond stronger than words refused to break. The sound of sirens faded beneath the growing noise of the crowd. Dozens of onlookers pressed closer to the yellow tape, their faces pale with disbelief. What had started as a moment of confusion had turned into something far darker, something that felt wrong in everyone's hearts. People murmured to one another, their voices sharp, emotional, angry. Did they really just attack a service dog? Someone shouted. Another replied, "She's blind." How could they not see the vest? The whispers spread fast, echoing across the street as phones stayed lifted high, capturing every trembling breath, every desperate cry. Lily still sat on the ground, holding Rex's head in her lap. Her hair clung to her tear-streaked face as she rocked back and forth, whispering his name like a prayer. "Please, Rex, stay with me." The asphalt beneath them shimmered with sunlight and tears. A woman from the crowd stepped forward, her own child tugging her hand. "Let her be," she said softly to an officer.
Haven't you done enough?
The word stung, slicing through the wall of authority the officers tried to maintain. One of them looked away, guilt flickering across his face. Reporters arrived quickly, cameras flashing, microphones raised. "Did you see what happened?" one asked a bystander. "Everything," he replied bitterly. That dog wasn't attacking anyone. He was protecting her. They made a mistake. The video hit the internet before the ambulance even arrived. Within minutes, it was everywhere. Blind girl's service dog tasered by police. The title alone was enough to spark outrage. Comment sections filled with fury, empathy, and heartbreak. Meanwhile, paramedics pushed through the crowd kneeling beside Rex. "He's still breathing," one said. Lily refused to move until they assured her they'd take him to the hospital. Her small hands never left his fur. As the stretcher doors closed and the ambulance pulled away, a heavy silence lingered. The world had just witnessed a tragedy, and though no one knew it yet, this moment would ignite a nationwide storm. The ambulance roared through the city streets, its siren slicing through the noise of traffic. Inside, Lily sat trembling, clutching Rex's paw as paramedics worked frantically beside her. "He's losing blood pressure. Stay with us, boy," one of them muttered. Lily couldn't see the monitors, but she could hear the beeps faltering, the urgency in their voices. Her heart pounded in rhythm with every passing second. At the veterinary hospital, they wheeled Rex inside on a stretcher. "We'll do everything we can," said Dr. Emily Hayes, her tone steady but eyes filled with concern. Lily's father arrived moments later, his face pale. He knelt beside his daughter, gently wrapping his arms around her. "He'll be okay," he whispered, though even he wasn't sure he believed it. Outside the glass doors, flashing cameras caught every angle of the scene. Reporters shouted questions, police cars idled in silence, and the story that had shocked the city was now spiraling into something much larger. Hours passed. Finally, Dr. Hayes emerged from the operating room, her gloves stained, her expression unreadable. "He's stable for now," she said softly. "But there's something you should know." She motioned for Mark, the officer who had fired the taser, to step closer. His throat tightened. She placed a small, dented metal object on the table. "We found this lodged near his ribs," she explained. "It's a fragment from a car bumper. That dog didn't attack anyone. He saved her from being hit. He took the impact himself." The room fell silent. Mark's eyes widened as the truth sank in. Rex hadn't been aggressive, he had been heroic. Every bark, every movement had been an act of protection. Lily, sitting nearby, turned her face toward the sound of Dr. Hayes' voice. "He saved me again, didn't he?" she asked softly. Dr. Hayes nodded, tears glistening. "Yes, sweetheart. He did." And in that moment, everyone realized the dog they had feared was the only one who had truly seen. The video spread faster than wildfire. Within 24 hours, news anchors replayed the footage on every major channel. Millions had seen the blind girl's trembling voice echo through the streets, pleading for her service dog's life. And somewhere in a dimly lit office at the precinct, Officer Daniels sat motionless, staring at the same clip on his phone. The same clip that had shattered the city's trust in him. Each frame stabbed deeper. The moment he fired, the child's scream, the dog collapsing. He pressed a hand to his forehead, feeling the weight of it all. "I thought I was doing the right thing," he whispered to himself, but the words felt hollow. There was no justification now, only guilt that clung to him like smoke. Unable to bear it any longer, Daniels drove to the veterinary hospital that evening. The smell of antiseptic filled the corridor, the soft beeping of machines echoing faintly. Through a glass window, he saw Lily sitting beside Rex's bed, her small hand resting gently on the dog's paw. Tubes and monitors surrounded him, but his chest still rose, steady, alive. Daniels hesitated, then knocked softly on the door. Lily turned her face toward the sound. Her eyes, though unseeing, seemed to look right through him. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then in a voice barely above a whisper, he said, "I'm sorry. I didn't know." Lily's fingers stroked Rex's fur. Her voice trembled but carried surprising calm. "He only barks when I'm in danger," she said quietly. "He was just trying to protect me." Daniel swallowed hard, tears burning his eyes. The words struck him harder than any punishment could. "I should have listened," he managed. Lily nodded faintly. "You can still do something good," she said. "Just don't let it happen again, to anyone." When he left the room, the officer's badge felt heavier than ever. But for the first time, he understood what true courage looked like. Not in uniforms or authority, but in the loyalty of a dog and the forgiveness of a child. The days that followed felt endless for Lily. Each sunrise brought a fragile kind of hope, and each sunset carried the fear of what tomorrow might take away. She spent every waking hour by Rex's side, her tiny fingers tracing the curve of his paw, listening to the soft rhythm of his breathing. The steady beeping of the heart monitor became her new lullaby, a reminder that he was still fighting. The doctors spoke in cautious tones. "He's stable, but the shock caused nerve damage," one of them explained gently. Lily didn't fully understand the words, but she understood the tremor in their voices. She turned her face toward the sound of Rex's breath and whispered, "You're strong, buddy. You always are." Rex's body was weak, but his spirit hadn't surrendered. When Lily spoke, his tail twitched faintly, a soft thump against the blanket that made everyone in the room pause. The vet smiled faintly. "He's responding," she said. "He knows she's here." Days passed. The city outside buzzed with anger and compassion, strangers sending gifts, letters, and donations to help. But inside that hospital room, time moved differently. It was a world made of quiet courage and silent prayers. Then one morning, as sunlight poured through the blinds, Lily felt a sudden movement beneath her hand. Rex shifted, his paw pressing weakly against hers. She gasped. "Rex?" she whispered. His eyelids fluttered, and then, slowly, he opened his eyes. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she leaned closer. "You came back," she whispered, her voice trembling with relief. The room filled with muffled sobs and smiles. Even the doctor wiped at her eyes. Rex gave a low, tired whine and licked her hand. It was small, fragile, but it was life. It was love. Lily hugged him carefully, her voice breaking with joy. "You did it, Rex. You found your way back to me." And for the first time since that terrible day, the hospital felt alive again, with warmth, forgiveness, and the sound of a miracle breathing. By the end of the week, the entire city knew Rex's name. What began as outrage had transformed into a wave of unity. Thousands of strangers, from children to veterans, writing letters, sending donations, and demanding change. News outlets ran the headline, "The Dog Who Saw with His Heart." The story of a blind girl and her loyal canine had touched millions, reminding the world of something simple yet powerful: compassion. Outside the hospital, people gathered every day, holding signs that read, "Justice for Rex" and "Protect Service Dogs." Some came with flowers, others with toys or treats. But everyone came with emotion in their hearts. Reporters captured the moment when Lily's father stepped out to thank them. "You're not just helping my daughter," he said. "You're helping heal a nation's conscience." At the police department, a public statement was released. The chief, his voice heavy with remorse, addressed the cameras. "We failed to recognize the situation for what it was," he admitted. Rex wasn't a threat, he was a hero. New training programs were announced, ensuring that no service animal would ever be mistaken again. For once, accountability came with action. Online, artists painted murals of Rex beside Lily, while teachers shared her story in classrooms to teach empathy. Even officers from other cities sent handwritten apologies. But what moved people most was the live footage of Rex weeks later, standing shakily on his paws for the first time. The video went viral within hours. Millions watched as the brave German Shepherd took a few unsteady steps toward Lily, who waited with open arms. The internet erupted with joy. Comments flooded in from around the world. "You're a hero, Rex. Faith in humanity restored." This made me cry. And through it all, Lily never let go of his harness again. To her, he wasn't just a symbol of hope, he was family. The world had finally seen what she had always known. Love isn't about sight. It's about trust. Weeks later, sunlight poured through the city streets as Lily and Rex walked again, side by side, just like before. Only this time the world stopped for them. People lined the sidewalks, clapping, cheering, some wiping away tears as they passed. Reporters captured the moment. Flashes of cameras glinting off Rex's new vest that read, "Hero K9." The mayor stood nearby with a plaque engraved in gold. "Rex, the dog who saw with his heart. Lily knelt beside him, her fingers tracing the letters slowly. "You did this, buddy," she whispered. Rex wagged his tail, pressing his nose gently against her cheek. When she stood, her voice was small but clear. "Even if I can't see," she said softly, "he always makes sure I'm never lost." The crowd fell silent, moved by the purity in her words. The camera zoomed out as they crossed the street together, the girl and her guardian, silhouetted against the golden light. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? Because stories like these remind us, sometimes the truest vision comes from love, not eyes.